Goatling, the insane Brazilian film about cannibalism, murder and all things crazy. The global cinema has such a fantastic range of horror movies that many may still remain hidden from the fans of the genre. Goatling or Cabrito is a Brazilian movie written and directed by Luciano De Azevedo. The film is about a family and their cannibalistic lifestyle, and about the boy who lives in a constant state of the nightmare. Goatling is unique and fixates on taking the horror genre to another level. It is very unlike the films where the protagonists walk away with a happy ending and the ghosts can be shooed away by exorcism. Here, the ghost is the past and the past never leaves any man alone. Welcome to Binge Buddha. In this video, we will explore and review the 2020 Brazilian movie Goatling. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to us. It may be a small click, but it goes a long way for us. Let's begin.
You monster! You monster!
Part 1. Neither the father dies, nor we have lunch. The Goatling is a dark thriller film set in an old world, about a family of 6. The film shows the prelude as a family moves toward a funeral. The mother is in a black funeral outfit following the casket, and behind her are her children, 2 sons and a daughter. Lastly, the pastor is behind them all like a shadow singing verses praising the Lord. All this while, a man, presumably the son, is shoveling through mud, digging a large hole, and later, in witness to his mother, he buries the casket and lays on top of it. The title of Part 1 is revealed and introduces the family, this time in addition to the father and a baby living in a Christian household. The son is afraid of him, and the father abuses him a lot. As part of his daily routine, the father checks upon his pig, strangely at night. Later, in the night, the father drags the son in aggregation, takes him to the shed, and leaves him there, where he spends the night. In the morning, as the mother tends to the family's breakfast and the baby, the siblings share their disgust over the son, claiming he is not their brother.
Father doesn't like you. You stink!
The mother is often seen praying to God and looking after the little child, and her husband seems to be a terrible man, who often intimidates her. While the brothers engage in banter, the father stops, and the mother reminisces about her conversation with the father at her church. As the bastard son roams alone in the dark, he is grabbed by 3 masked people, who reveal themselves to be his family, after he is tied up in the pig's shed. The father tells him today he will teach him a lesson on how to be a big man.
Today's lesson: how to become a big man.
He reveals to him in a cryptic message that the food he eats is not animal flesh, but belongs to humans. The father drags another young boy into the room and explains that it is not easy for him to put food on the table, and he explains that he has to kill the man, while the rest of the family waits outside. The father reveals that the kidnapped man he brought was robbing their crops and should be minced. While he asks the youngest son not to scream, his sister watches it all hiding behind a barrel. The father reveals the face of the victim and helps the son kill him by slashing his throat. He waits as the man loses blood and dies, and later he marks the son with a cross on his forehead, baptizing him. Later in the night, the mother cleans her son of all the blood, and he screams in nightmares about the incident. The mother then takes her other 2 children to the pastor and asks him to take them away from the man. She then tells her son at home that her hands are colored with the devil's sins, and to wash them away he must apologize to the Lord by killing Satan and feeding him to the pigs.
Throw the fatted meat to feed the pigs.
The drunk father comes into his home, abusing his wife as she makes dinner, and the son stabs him multiple times, killing him. Later, he drags his dead body to the shed, and the part ends with a picture of the baby, the son, the mother, and the bloodied corpse of the father. Part 2. No one eats before mommy prays. The son enters the home, now as an adult. When his mother asks if he brought something home to eat, when he says no, she abuses him for being the devil in her life. The man still has nightmares about the night, and in the morning, He finds his mother being rude to him and has left no food to eat for him.
Drop that! There's no food for you.
The mother reminds him that the Lord is watching him and asks him to respect his mother and father. She curses and abuses him a lot and he takes it all in silence. Later, he visits a prostitute and insults her, asking how many men she has laid in her bed, and the prostitute asks him to leave. In the morning, the man is seen picking up another victim to bring home to his mother. In the evening, the mother asks him to bring home his little calf, and they begin eating after his mother finishes the prayer. The man reminisces about the past when he had to kill his victims, including his father. He visits the prostitute again, and when he tries to share his past with her, she laughs at him and seduces him to sleep with her. Once asleep, he sees the same nightmare and he jumps out of his bed, startling the woman, who calms him down while he repeats, "It's cold." At home, the mother is visited by her daughter, who is pregnant, and she gives her a sweater. In a rage from being repeatedly insulted by her mother, the man kills both the woman and gets a fit of insanity. He prays as he feasts on their flesh, turning himself into a serial killer and a cannibal. Part 3, The Holy Family. The third part focuses on the man, now older than before, in an abandoned parking lot, having recently killed someone, and collecting their parts in a bag. He gets home and sleeps next to a corpse, kissing her face every night before going to bed, while another corpse is rotting away in the kitchen. The man butchers his food, as he talks to someone about how humanity hides true love.
Where did humanity begin hiding true love?
He takes a bowl of food to the girl he is keeping in captivity, hiding her face with a mask made of flesh. As he removes the mask to feed her, she squirms and screams at him, abusing him and hating him.
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Let me go!
He tells her he won't let her go and weepingly says, "I'll never feel cold again," as he hugs her. Suddenly, he starts screaming at her and molests her, while she begs him to stop and fears for her life. Later in the night, he sees the same nightmares again, this time with a gag in his mouth, and wakes up in the abandoned lot. The girl at home wakes up in his bed next to the rotten corpse. She screams and shifts to the corner. The man gets home and sleeps between the corpse and the woman. This time in the nightmares he sees her mother, gloomy at the sight of the corpse. In the morning, he sits at the dining table, as the ghost of the mother abuses her, and he repeats her words. The woman is nowhere to be seen and has presumably died at the hands of the man.
You are useless.
We see a woman on the road as she runs away from the man into the abandoned garage, hiding from him as he hunts her with a metal chain. He destroys an old car where she is hiding and enters it through the top, finally getting his hands on her. Back at home, he finds a teddy bear, punches through a mirror, and uses the gasoline to burn the corpse of her mother, blaming her for taking away his Rosalita, the only one who truly loved him. The last image is of him resting in the lap of the man who is wearing a fleshed mask. Binge Buddha's review. A hidden gem like Luciano De Azevedo's Goatling is made for a specific dark horror audience and can be very hard to stomach. It certainly isn't for the faint of heart or those who are triggered by flashy, gruesome images. But, the feature-length film released in 2020 is apt to capture the minds of horror genre fans. The film checks every box of a great horror flick. It has gore, murder, cults, cannibalism, and suspense as it forces the audience to see the depth of depravity in humanity. The most uncomfortable part of the film comes from the fact the protagonist was forced into this alien lifestyle by his own parents. The film runs quickly and is edited in an anthological manner, dividing the movie into 3 parts, each with its own dose of mayhem and trauma. Luciano De Azevedo served as writer-director and cinematographer and is also credited as the editor of this psychological horror. The execution of the film to attack all 5 senses of the human body can only be successful with the sane and logical insanity of a director like Luciano. The audience should expect a tragic ending which unnerves the viewers and makes them uncomfortable to the point of having nightmares, So only the strongest of hearts are recommended to watch this dark Brazilian masterpiece. That was all in this video. Do hang around for more film and pop culture content. Stay safe, and have a good one.